seeds of joy in every row. Come on down, we'll show you how what's fresh and green is growing now. At Bob's Market, we've got it all, from garden dreams to greenhouse halls. Catch the buzz, catch the show, where the best of the season grows. Tomatoes ripe, peppers bright, tips for keeping blooms in sight. Let's make your backyard glow. Tools and plants, advice for free. Bob's is where you want to be. At Bob's Market, we've got it all, from garden dreams to greenhouse halls. Catch the buzz, catch the show, where the best of the season grows.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Bob's Live. This week, I thought we would head out to the greenhouse and take a look at what's growing out there. But first, let's talk a little bit about what's happening at our stores. Right now, all of our store locations are open for summer. So we're open 7 days a week. Now, hours might vary a little bit by store location. So the best way to find out your store hours is head over to our website and check under the locations tab, and that'll give you the exact hours for that store's location. Also, we've got Mother's Day coming up, and we have a lot of folks that buy Mother's Day as a gift. They buy gift cards online. So you want to make sure that you get your gift card order in by, let's say, next week. That way, it'll have plenty of time to go through the mail and get to its intended recipient by Mother's Day. So there's a couple different ways that you can order gift cards through our website. You can either have it sent to you to send with a gift, or you can put in a gift address and we'll mail it directly to the gift recipient. A lot of folks that live outside of our area do that for Mother's Day for family members that live here within our local area. And then, of course, you can purchase Bob's Market gift cards at any of our store locations. And up next, let's jump in and take a look at the weather forecast. So the weather right now, it is beautiful outside. It is right around 80 degrees out. It's somewhat cloudy out. Looking out my window right now. There is some rain showers kind of lurking in the forecast. But for the most part, if we take a look at the radar's clear right now. There's one little tiny blip up toward the Parkersburg area over in Ohio. But other than that, we're not really looking at too much widespread rain. Probably our biggest rain event is going to be from Friday into Saturday. So Saturday morning looks wet, and then it looks like it's going to clear up in the afternoon on Saturday. But other than that, temperature-wise, it looks like we're out of frost danger. I'm going to knock on wood because if I scroll up here, our frost countdown is still going. We're 10 days out from our last average frost date for our area. But right now, looking at the extended forecast, it looks like the frost might be behind us for the year. But I'm still going to keep that countdown up on the Weather Center page on our website until after our normal average frost window is up. And then that countdown will change to our average first fall frost date. So yeah, you can, once the 10 days is up, it'll switch over to our first frost date for fall, which usually falls sometime in mid-October. But yeah, that is a quick look at our weather. And of course, if you want a more in depth weather forecast, I recommend subscribing to and listening to our podcast, the Keep Growing Podcast. Um, I kind of, pun intended, dig into a few gardening topics that are pertinent to the week ahead. And that's based off the WVU Extension Office garden calendar and other almanacs and just general garden knowledge for our region. Um, but it comes out every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. So I cover gardening tasks for the week ahead, the weather forecast, and anything special that's going on. So yeah, if you listen to podcasts, I recommend going out. It's on all the major podcast platforms. We host it natively on Spotify, but it's also available on Amazon, Apple Podcasts. It gets uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you're watching this stream on YouTube, right here on our YouTube channel, we also have the Keep Growing podcast. And then it's also available on iHeartRadio. So if you listen to iHeartRadio, you can subscribe there. With that being said, I've got a whole bunch of beautiful flowers right behind me here on the screen. Let's head out to the greenhouse and take a look at what we have growing out there, because it is absolutely gorgeous right now. Everything's coming into bloom, and walking out through the greenhouse, it just looks like a patchwork quilt of color. So I wanted to share a little bit of that with you today. So let's jump right into it. Hi, John Morgan here. A few months ago, we were out in the greenhouse when these geranium baskets were being transplanted and hung up. And now they're being shipped out. In fact, down at this end, we've completely replaced them with a whole other batch of plants. But now the greenhouse is starting to fill up with finished product. So I thought we would head out and take a look at what we have that's starting to bloom. Have some absolutely beautiful begonias. And then down here on the end, these are all New Guinea impatiens. And then of course up above, more geraniums, which these have just gotten a haircut. So we'll stop down here and see them getting trimmed here in a second. Here we have a beautiful Calibrachoa. This is a variety called Super Bell's Rising Star. And over on this side is one of my favorites, a variety called Holy Moly. And of course, Night Sky was super popular a few years ago. This is in sort of the same idea. This is Headliner Pink Sky. So you're getting a beautiful pink, but with the white spots. And down at this end of this bay, we have some beautiful coleus. And I always have to share something that I did that was a planning mistake. I have a brick house, and one year I decided to plant a darker scarlet coleus up against my house, which it just disappeared. From a distance, it blended right in with the brick. So you do want to kind of keep that in mind when you're planning your landscape, is how the colors will interact with, say, the siding of your house. Right here we have some beautiful 6-inch begonia pots. In this section of the greenhouse, we have some of everyone's favorites. Marigolds, and then in the next bay over, impatiens. A little over a decade ago, impatiens were decimated by downy mildew. And as a result, there was a breeding program to develop downy mildew resistant impatiens. And what we carry are the Beacon series impatiens that are downy mildew resistant. And this is a Lindau mix. It has a few different colors mixed in with it. So you get kind of the white, a kind of fuchsia, and then kind of the salmon color. That's just a small look at what we have growing in the greenhouse. Right now, it is truly a beautiful quilt of color. And it's all shipping out right now. It's heading out to our stores and also to our wholesale customers. So if you want to visit your local Bob's Market, we're open 7 days a week right now at all of our locations. Head over to the website and check under the locations tab for your local store's hours and for a ton of other great information. So again, our website is bobsmarket.com. All right, so that was a quick look at what we have growing in the greenhouse. And yeah, Angie said impatiens are always beautiful as a filler. So they work great in kind of part shade to full shade areas. They're really the only flower that we have that can take really dark, shady areas. Um, so when downy mildew, when we had that outbreak, um, that kind of left our industry in kind of a pinch because we had to figure out what plants would work in their place. And vinca, which takes full sun, and begonias, which can take part shade, it seemed like those two plants sort of filled the gap for a while. But now that we have like the Beacon series, and there's a few other series now that are downy mildew resistant, now that we have those, we can go back to growing impatiens again. And you know, if you had an area that was affected by downy mildew, which luckily here in our region, it was mostly spared. Because of our climate here, we really didn't have a widespread downy mildew outbreak like they had further south in the U.S. But if you did have an area that was affected or infected, it would stay latent in the soil. So even if you took the plants out, you couldn't grow impatiens in that area again because the downy mildew spores would stay in the soil. So it really created an issue. And the Beacon series, I know I was just listening to a podcast the other day about California spring trials. the Beacon series, they've had to go through and rebreed all of the collars of impatiens to have the same amount of variety that we used to have. And one of the things that Beacon series was lacking was kind of a true pink collar. So I think this year one of the new varieties is a Beacon, like a actual true pink collar. Because right now they have one that's Beacon Coral, that's the most people use in place of pink. Which that's something in our industry that I kind of laugh at sometimes, is sometimes growers are really picky over collars. um, but yeah, all of these plants are starting to head out to our stores now that the frost danger is past. And as we get closer to Mother's Day, we're going to have, you know, just stuffed to the gills with plants. And of course, keep an eye out for our Mother's Day sale information. That's going to be coming out soon. And as I said, let me jump back to the slide here before we go. If you're going to be ordering a gift card online, you want to make sure you get that order in soon. And well, that is all that I have for this week. I know it's a little bit shorter of an episode. I've got some gardening projects that I'm working on. In fact, this morning I just had 2 tons of stone delivered at my house, and let's see, about 3-4 cubic yards of mulch delivered. So you're going to be seeing that in future episodes. But yeah, this week a little bit shorter of an episode. I was mowing grass earlier this week, and I suffer from hay fever. I have just been dying the last couple days from my allergies. Right now, I'm kind of holding back a sneeze. But yeah, so here in the future, we're going to have hopefully 2 segments, a greenhouse and garden center segment, and then also what's happening in John's garden and landscape segment as we get more into summer. So that is all that I have for this week's episode. And of course, until next time, keep growing.
Got it all, from garden dreams to greenhouse halls. Catch the buzz, catch the show, where the best of the season